Hello, thanks for joining this session where we're going to be talking about 4 digital media master's courses in the Brunel Design School. My name's Tina and I'm from the marketing team at Brunel, and I'm joined today by Dr Damon Daylamani-Zad, who is course director of all 4 of those courses. Thanks very much for joining me, Damon. To kick off, let's get to know you. Can you give a brief summary of your academic background?
Hi, I'm Damon and thank you for having me. So my background is started in computer engineering, where I did a degree in computer engineering at University of Tehran, and then moved to the UK and actually to Brunel University and studied a master's and a PhD in multimedia computing. Since then, I've been working on multiple positions, and I've been teaching quite a few different universities, including universities in Norway and the UK, as well as working on multiple research projects within the US, Greece, UK, and also Norway.
Thank you. So we have 4 digital media master's courses in Brunel Design School. Can you give us a top line explanation of all 4 and the differences between them?
Sure. So we have 4 masters in digital media. So we have MSc Digital Design and Branding, which is kind of our flagship master's degree, which has been running for quite a while and has been very successful. And what it tries to do is brings the hands-on knowledge of digital design in the modern age within the context of branding. Now, out of that, we've got the other 3, based on its success, the other 3 which are a little bit newer MSCs, which is Digital Design 3D Animation, Digital Design Immersive Mixed Reality, and Digital Design Motion Graphics. So these 3 MSCs also work on the fundamentals of digital design in this modern age and where we're going with them and how the technology is moving, but we are putting that within the context and specialty of each of those pathways. So a specific kind of specialty in 3D design and 3D animation, specialty in immersive mixed reality and immersive experiences, and also a specialty in specifically motion graphics. Now, all of these, especially the last 3, so MSc Digital Design, 3D animation, immersive mixed reality, and motion graphics, can also have some optional modules where they can share some of that knowledge as well.
So we have 3 new courses, but the course that's been going for a few years now, how do you ensure that that one is kept up to date and relevant with the requirements of the job market, with technology, etc.?
So we do this through multiple different avenues to make sure that what we offer not only is up to date and present and it's what the industry actually needs, but we also try and prepare our students to be ready for what the industry is going to need in the near future. So they're kind of ready for that future. And we do this with, we've got academic staff who are very research active, who are at the forefront of the breakthroughs that we do in this area and within the technology and also within the applications of technology. We also have academics and staff members who are actually actively working in the industry, so they bring that constant experience with them. Now, but we don't limit ourselves right there either, and to work on top of that, we also attend quite a lot of events and networking and conferences and exhibitions that go around, and we also take our students to those as well to get them exposed to what is currently happening in the scene, especially in London, with the creative industry being quite a capital for in London. But and then on top of that, we also have an external advisory panel, which is formed out of quite a few different industries and people from the industry, in the creative industry. So we've got major advertising agencies, VFX companies, film companies, creative agencies who might be doing quite a few different things, and then branding agencies, as well as bigger companies such as Unity, who are a big share of the market within this space of creative industries, immersive mixed reality. And they're all part of our advisory panel, and they advise us every year in a few sessions that we have with them, where they come and talk to us, they talk to our students, they look at their work, and they advise us on what we can offer more, what is the industry trends right now to help us take this further. And then finally, we have an accrediting body who is an industry accreditation body, Screen Skills, who also advise us on what needs to be included, what could be incorporated into the courses, and they also generally provide us with extra facilities and advice as well.
Yes, sounds like exceptional links with industry. Thank you. Now, just moving on to the entry requirements, the standard entry requirement would be an undergraduate degree in design or possibly computer studies, but sometimes work experience can count instead. Can you give an example of that kind of student?
So we're very much looking into students who are passionate about digital design and digital media and are willing to work, we want to work with technology within a creative space. Now, this could be a range of different experiences, from working with tools such as Figma and Photoshop and doing branding or poster designs to designing apps. So we've recently just did two kind of examples that I can think of for the past couple of years. We've had students with degrees in aerospace engineering who had a flair for virtual reality and augmented reality and had made some apps. So we did look at those, and they submitted that as their part of the portfolio and their experience, and we looked at that and said, well, clearly you have a passion, you have some interest, so absolutely. We also had another applicant from business management, I believe, who had done a lot of campaigns and created all of the creative materials for that campaign themselves, so posters, social media posts. Again, it showed that there is that flair, there's that interest, and they are familiar with what is really required, that they just want to learn more. And again, that's something that we would certainly take into account.
Thank you. Now, this is not the place to go into too much detail about scholarships, but suffice to say, there very often are scholarships available for students on our master's courses. We can't give details of the ones for next year yet because they haven't yet been announced. But if you're thinking of making an application, it's definitely worth visiting the scholarship page on our website to see if there are any that you would be eligible to apply for help with your fees. Now, let's move on and talk about the content of the course now. Can you just give a sort of top line run through of the modules that students will be studying on your course?
Sure. So we have all four MSCs have two fundamental modules that everyone has to take, and these are digital design and digital media technologies. And they try to cover the hands-on skills that every person who works in digital design and digital media needs. They need to have that breadth of knowledge, but also the theory behind it. So things like that we very much focus on are UX and user experience, regardless of if it's a TV advert, if it's a video, if it's a 3D animation, if it's an experience, if it's a mobile app. The user is at the center of this. And what are the theories that go behind this type of design, this type of thinking? And also, how do we put these into practice, but staying away from kind of a level independent from a very kind of specific specialization. So every MSc student will take those two. Once those two are kind of taken apart, then we've got the more specialized modules, which is for the digital design and branding. They are brand experience design and branding strategy. Now, these two modules are very specifically focused on the branding aspects. One is about how to create a branding experience and how to launch such a campaign. The other one focuses on strategic decisions that need to be made within branding. Now, it's important for me to mention that all of these are hands-on. These are not theoretical modules only. Students would actually have to create a brand, strategize it, and create all of the materials that go with that to launch that brand. And they also need to analyze, for example, the experience of a brand. So these are all hands-on, where you would create artifacts for them. Moving on to the MSc Digital Design with 3D animation, immersive mixed reality, and motion graphics. Now, these have, there are three modules there for each of these that they specialize in. So students on MSc Digital Design 3D animation would have to take 3D animation design for their MSc, but then they have the option of picking a module from all the other specialization as their optional module. Same thing goes for example, students in digital design and immersive mixed reality. They have to take immersive mixed reality design, But then they have the option of taking a module from the branding, from immersive, they have to take the immersive anyway, but from branding, from 3D animation, from motion graphics, they can pick one of those and take that as their optional module to kind of, again, increase that breadth of knowledge that they have and the experience that they have. And the students tend to do that either based on their interests or how they kind of envision their future career, and they try to build on that. So if they feel like, if they're going for a VFX position, they might feel like, okay, with 3D animation, I might also need to know a bit about motion graphics so I can put them together for a VFX experience. And what they also, every master's also finishes with a dissertation, which is 60 credits.
And I'm assuming that on the 3 different pathways of digital design, their dissertation would be on their choice of...
Their dissertation would need to be building on what they've studied. So whilst it doesn't have to be for example, a student on 3D animation, it doesn't have to be pure 3D animation. It should include enough elements of 3D animation to show that specialization. But we welcome it so that it's actually a little bit more wider and includes elements of digital design that they've learned into that to create something a little bit more creative and something that the industry really wants.
Have you got a couple of concrete examples of actual dissertation topics that have been submitted recently?
Yes, so we've got, again, it's a wide variety of dissertations, and our students tend to be very creative with their ideas. Some of the ones that are just, because they're recent and they're just very fresh on my mind, is we have one that is using an immersive billboard idea where they're using a very immersive experience that could be used either in VR or in mixed reality or augmented reality, depending on how you look at it. And looking at posters for digital companies, they're specifically, they've picked a brand, they've broken that apart to their core elements and then created an immersive poster, an immersive digital poster out of it, which is very, very interesting. We've had students who are working on creating a VR app that helps with people to get better at doing interviews, like job interviews, to kind of break through that fear of public speaking, talking to people. We've had students launching their own brand. So the one that really kind of sticks in my mind right now is there was a brand about recycling, but they called it upcycling. So using your own clothes and upcycling them into something new and different, instead of just kind of throwing them away or just donating them. And that was quite interesting. And that was a whole brand. So they created the brand, the strategy, the mission, and they launched it from the launch event to all the social media posts and videos and everything that would go with that.
Amazing. Wow, thank you. Can you just describe a typical week for one of your students in terms of taught time, private study, lab, whatever?
Sure, absolutely. But one thing I would actually say before I say that, one of the things that we encourage a lot is independent learning, because we feel our students need to be able to really stand on their own and find their own way. Because once students graduate, they don't have that level of support that they might have at university. So we want them to learn that skill to be able to go and find things for themselves. So that's one of our ethos, and every student who comes to my welcome week talk will see that I have 2 slides on that specifically to just really emphasize that it is really one of those skills that is the most important to learn from this experience. But a typical week would be about each student in each term will have 2 modules that they are taking, and each module would be between 3 to 4 hour contact time. So we're looking at 3 and 4, between 7 to 8 hours of lectures and workshops, generally spread around 1 to 2 days a week. We try to kind of put them close together so that a lecture and a workshop kind of follow each other closely, so that the context and the theory that was covered during the lecture can be applied whilst it's fresh in the workshop. And then the remaining time that is left to students is very much based on practicing, exercising, and in other words, playing with what they've just learned, so that they can see what can they make with that. How can they be creative with that? Because once you start to play with that and be hands-on with those, that's when it really sinks in, and that's when creativity kicks in. So by the time they come into the next week, they've really mastered for an MSc what they've learned the week before that.
Thank you. And finally, can you give us a couple of examples of interesting careers that some of your recent graduates have gone into?
Sure. Now, again, because of the wide variety of specializations that we offer, our students tend to kind of cover a wide variety of roles as well. But some of the ones that are just recently, I was looking through LinkedIn and kind of checking where everyone is. I just came across is that one of our graduates in digital design and branding is the head of branding and brand campaigns, if I remember correctly, for IKEA in Thailand. And that's a very interesting thing because IKEA is a company that has a very solid brand, and to have one of our graduates getting to that level is a really nice achievement for us.
Yes.
We have our students who are, again, this one actually came up on my LinkedIn, that's why I remember it, because it's a recent thing, has been promoted to head of creatives for creative UI and UX for a finance company. I'm not quite sure what they do as finance, but I think they deal something with loans and mortgages.
Right.
But that's somewhere where user experience is actually extremely important, and they've managed to actually get to that level, which is always really interesting. One of our relatively recent graduates.
Yes. Thank you. Well, we've covered most of the questions that prospective students tend to contact us about. But if you're watching and thinking of making an application and there's still something we haven't covered, please send us an email to our inquiries inbox. The address will come up for you. It's inquiries@brunel.ac.uk. And if you mention digital media MSc in your email, then the email will be forwarded straight on to Dr Daylamani-Zad, who will write back to you. Okay, but in the meantime, thanks very much, Damon.
Thank you so much.
And thank you
everyone for watching. Our postgraduate courses in digital design offer a chance to students to specialize in 4 areas of branding, 3D animation, immersive mixed reality, or motion graphics. Combining digital technology and creative design, it will equip you with the advanced knowledge and practical skills necessary for a range of digital technical roles within the creative industries. Our courses are best suited to those who have a passion for digital technology and using creative technologies in a cutting-edge way, but with a strong understanding around the person who is going to actually be the end user of this, so they have a great experience. Both courses offer placement opportunities.